U.S. Air Force report submarine-shaped UFO spotted in Oklahoma in 1966 with extraterrestrial alien being entering in it. This is from the Project Blue Book reports. The witness stopped about 100 feet beyond the submarine-shaped craft. In the 1950s and mid-60s, the U.S. Air Force approved Project Blue Book investigated thousands of UFO sightings. Some had explanations, while others are still waiting to be solved. 3 years before the project was terminated, a strange incident had happened in Temple, Oklahoma. A witness to this case had a strange encounter with a submarine-shaped craft parked on a highway near his car on March 23, 1966. The Project Blue Book documented the case with the label Temple, Oklahoma. According to the information provided to the Project Blue Book, the observer, whose name was edited by the U.S. Air Force, drove over a small knoll, and his car's headlights illuminated an object in a field near the road. As he approached this, there was a flash of light over the car, and his headlights went out. The witness stopped about 100 feet beyond the submarine-shaped craft. He estimated the UFO was as long as 2 or 3 cars and about 8 feet high, with a coning tower at about the midway point on the object. There was a white flag attached to its top and a humanoid figure that was not described standing by it. And the project record is number 11-10073. Unidentified case carried as unidentified since the evaluation of all the available information. No concrete explanation is possible, it said. Now, the witness got back into his car and started moving forward. As he drove away, his headlights came on the object again. He didn't see the craft, departed, and reported no other effects of his close approach. And that file said, observed W.E. Eddie Laxon was driving his car along the highway at approximately 5:05 a.m., 23rd March 1966, when he noticed an object parked on the road in front of him. He stopped the car and got out so as to get a better view of the object. The object was so parked that it blocked out a portion of the road curve sign. There were no sharp edges noted by the observer. The object had the appearance of a conventional aircraft C-124 without wings or motors. There was a plexiglass bubble on top, similar to a B-26 canopy. As the observer approached, he noticed a man wearing a baseball cap enter the object by steps from the bottom. After the man entered the object, it began to rise from the pavement and headed on a southeasterly direction at approximately 720 miles an hour. The object had forward and aft lights and were very bright. As the object rose from the ground, a high-speed drill type of sound was heard, plus a sound like that of a welding rod when an arc is struck. The object was 75 feet long, nearly 8 feet from top to bottom, and about 12 feet wide. There were some type of supports up the bottom of the object. After the object disappeared, the witness got back into his car and drove approximately 15 miles down the highway. At this time, the original witness stopped and talked with another individual who had also stopped along the roadway to watch some lights over Red River, which is approximately 5 or 6 miles to the southeast. Various organizations were contacted around the Temple, Oklahoma area for a possible experimental or conventional aircraft. The observer stated that he thought the object was some type of Army or Air Force research aircraft. All attempts at such an explanation proved fruitless since there were no aircraft in the area at the time of the sighting. Although there are numerous helicopters and other experimentals in the area, none could be put in the area of Temple at approximately 5 o'clock in the morning, 23rd March 1966. Because of this factor, the case is listed as unidentified by the Air Force. The Project Blue Book concluded that the source is unreliable, which is almost the universal conclusion when a witness or witnesses claim to have seen some sort of being or creature associated with a craft. Apparently, the report of the creature was sufficient reason for project officers to decide that no further investigation was required. There is one thing that's surprising about the sighting. The project record card in the Blue Book file mentioned that it was, quote, a military and civilian sighting, end quote. On the Air Intelligence Information Report, which was collected November 4, 1957, there is the name of the military source. According to that document, T. Sergeant Alfred A. Calvin, who was assigned to the 386th Fighter Bomber Squadron at Cannon Air Force Base near Clovis, New Mexico, was the military witness. All that's known about the second source is that he was a civilian who in 1957 was 41 years old, and his name has been redacted from the form. The civilian was from Enid, Oklahoma, and was a civil servant employee at Vance Air Force Base, Oklahoma. There is no indication in the file that any Air Force investigator interviewed the civilian source. Given the fact, based on the assignments of the witnesses, they were independent of one another, that interview with the civilian should have been conducted. It might have yielded some important information and would certainly have improved the credibility of T. Sergeant Calvin. The second witness, who was not interviewed by the Air Force and who, according to the Blue Book files, did not fill out their report, was C.W. Anderson. Anderson confirmed for the newspaper that he had seen the craft as well. He told the reporter, I know that people will say that Laxton is darned crazy, but that's what I saw, he said. Anderson said that he thought the object had been following him down the road. He saw it in his rearview mirror for several miles. The problem for the Air Force was that Anderson did not see the pilot or crewman. The drawing of the object made by Laxton resembles grossly that Lonnie Zamora had made of the craft he saw in Socorro, New Mexico in 1964, which means it was sort of egg-shaped. It was certainly longer and was lying on its side. And like Zamora, Laxton said he saw symbols on the object, but unlike Zamora, he recognized them. He told the report that on one side I made out TLA with the last two figures 38. American ufologist Kevin Randall writes, in what might be described as a fit of honesty, the Air Force admitted that they had no solution for the case. The description of the alien, quote-unquote, was more human than humanoid, and he seemed to be dressed in conventional clothes right to the mechanic's hat. Investigation reveals a second witness, and that might have influenced the Air Force, especially since the men had never met prior to the sighting. In the end, they labeled the case as unidentified. And this is from Collective Spark, Vicky Verma Wise. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box